So this is my title for today. Yeah, that is managing financial distress because we are facing the pandemic crisis. Yeah, and also in Indonesia, especially as announced by Bu Menteri Keuangan, Bu Sri Mulyani, we are facing the recession the first time in about 20 years. Yeah. Okay. Okay. My name is Roy Sambal. This is the agenda for today. Yeah. Okay, now we'll go directly to the topic. Yeah, that is we are facing the VUCA situation, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. Yeah, that is the possibility for 2020 and beyond, whether it is a cloudy or it will be shiny. We don't know now. Okay, anyway, crisis trap is everywhere. Even before the COVID crisis, now came the big blow of the COVID crisis. It is the VUCA, the new normal. We're facing the new normal, that is volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And this is part of the black swan phenomena. Yeah, very seldom, very rarely happen. But if happen, the impact is very huge. Yeah. Okay. So it's like the Avenger movie. Thanos snap, something like that, and half of the universe disappear. But now the snapping, the one who snap is not Thanos, but the COVID. That's the COVID crisis. Yeah. So the impact on rupiah, for example, here during the peak of the crisis, that is end of March, early April, rupiah weakened significantly, almost 17,000 at that time. And then the Bursa Efek Indonesia dropped by about 30-40% from the peak. Yeah. Although now already a little bit recovered to around 5,000 level. Yeah. Okay. And then that happened not only in Indonesia, but also in advanced economies. Yeah. You can see the graph showing the advanced economy also get the impact of the COVID significantly, monetary, and then also in financial market. Yeah. And then also the commodity price decreased significantly. Even at one time, the price of the oil is minus. So it is not positive, but minus because of the storage cost. Yeah, the heavy storage costs involved there. Yeah. And then the projection by the World Economy World Economy Forum, that is the projection based on the June projection after the COVID. Yeah, the 2020 World Economic Growth will be minus, minus around 5%. The advanced economy, because before the COVID, even the growth is very low already, and will have experienced minus 8%, while the emerging economy, normally the growth is higher than the advanced economy, but now experience negative growth. Yeah, the emerging economy in 2020, although it is expected to recover in 2021, hopefully. And what happened to the country or the region in detail? Yeah, these are the prediction in detail about the crisis. Yeah, so for example, ASEAN 5, this is the minus 2%. Yeah, for the 2020, this one. Yeah, and then for example, the bad situation happened in Spain, Italy, and then France. Yeah, and the minus is around 12%. Yeah, UK 10%, etc., etc. Yeah. Well, overall negative growth around 5%. Yeah, this is much worse than the financial crisis in 2008, and 2009. Yeah. Okay, and for Indonesia, the prediction at that time in June minus 0.3%. Maybe it's getting lower, nowadays. Yeah. Okay, and then Indonesia is still better compared to Malaysia, minus 3.8, Philippines minus 3.6, and Thailand. Oh, Thailand is getting worse. Yeah, minus 7.7. Yeah, these are the prediction by World Economic that is in the outlook in the June 2020. Yeah. Okay. Well, how about the realization? Those are the prediction. The realization, yeah. Well, the quarter two projection already out, but quarter three not yet. Yeah. And the quarter three maybe within several weeks will be out the numbers. But quarter two, we see the realization of the prediction, and already minus 5% for Indonesia. And things also not get better for United States, for example, minus 9.5. Our neighbor Singapore minus 12.6, South Korea minus 3, Hong Kong minus 9, Uni Eropanya minus 14, Uni China a little bit recover, but already got the blow before, 1 quarter before. Yeah. Okay, Vietnam is very thin in around 0% because of the from China. There are some investment coming to Vietnam during the COVID. Okay. All right. Now the prediction for Indonesian economy in 2021. This is the 2020 the situation. 2021. Well, the inflation actually still under control. Well, under control because of the low demand And then yesterday Bank Indonesia announced the benchmark rate stay at around 4%. So basically it's lower than the previous year because of the crisis. Let's try to inject money through reducing the interest rate and reducing other things. And then increasing the cash injection to the economy by buying, for example, the government securities. So money will come to the economy. All right. These are the kind of prediction forecast for the 2020 and 2021. Okay. Now, talking about financial distress, some of the theory already covered by the previous presenter, I believe. But I will try to repeat it. Basically, it looks something like this. In terms of balance sheet, this is the balance sheet. Normally, equity will be positive because the asset will be higher than the liabilities. But during the financial distress, for some company, it's getting worse. Getting worse such that the debt, the value of asset decrease and the value of debt increase, so that the liabilities higher than assets, so that the equity will be negative equity. In terms of cash flow, before the crisis, they have a surplus cash flow compared to the contractual obligation. This is the cash flow surplus, but during the crisis, the cash flow will be negative, meaning the deficit. Because the contractual obligation, they still have to pay whatever the situation, but they don't get enough cash flow from their business. This is the firm cash flow. So there is a cash flow shortfall or negative deficit. So those are the two indicators of the financial distress in terms of balance sheet as well as the cash flow. Okay, or in the theory of capital structure, usually in a normal situation, you can calculate the possible optimal debt ratio. If the debt ratio is too low, you can increase the debt ratio. If the debt ratio is too high, then you have to decrease the debt ratio, because in the somewhere in the middle there is an optimal debt ratio. But this part, this because of the present value of financial distress cost is significantly higher during the crisis, so that the value of the company drops significantly here during the crisis, something like this. So the optimal debt ratio should be much lower, because the challenge of the financial distress, possible financial distress, will be high. While in fact the reality, the actual financial the debt ratio is high because of this situation. Because of this situation. So that's a complex situation for a company facing the financial distress. Well, some indicator of the potential of financial distress even during the normal situation, we can check the leverage. The leverage here can be calculated using the operating leverage. Operating leverage is the impact of the drop in sales to the drop of the net operating income. It's kind of elasticity things. 1% drop in sales will create some percent drop in the net operating income. Well, basically because the operating leverage consists of the fixed operating costs. During the normal situation, fixed cost actually good, because if the sales increase significantly, the fixed cost stays the same. But during the financial distress situation, actually the fixed cost is bad, because you still have to pay the fixed cost when your sales drop significantly. This is the degree of operating leverage. So when the operating leverage is high, it's good during the normal situation, but that is very, very bad during the distress situation. And in addition to the operating leverage, we have the financial leverage. If operating leverage consists of the fixed costs for operation, for financial leverage is fixed costs for finance. paying the interest cost. For example, whether your sales is high or low, you still have to pay the interest, right? When you borrow money, gitu ya. So this is the two type of leverage. Operating leverage related to the fixed operational costs, financial leverage related to the fixed financial costs. The combination of degree of operating leverage and degree of financial leverage become the degree of total leverage, yeah. The kind of multiplication of DOL and DFL, yeah. So two factor, the fixed financial cost is here and the fixed operating cost is here and fixed financial cost is here, yeah. So we can check if during the normal situation, industry with high fixed operational costs, that's higher risk from the operational point of view. Industry with high fixed financial costs, that is the interest payment, higher degree of financial leverage, that is higher risk. Yeah. Well, if operating leverage high, financial leverage high, the total leverage can be even worse. That can be the highest industry risk, right? Yeah, if the industry can have the high degree of total leverage, which is the combination of operating leverage and financial leverage. Yeah? So the stage of financial distress, usually something like this, incubation of the firm financial situation. This is something like when a patient got COVID, the incubation period, that is the symptom is there. And then gradually the management becomes aware of the firm financial distress. Originally at the beginning, that's a denial, a kind of denial, yeah, because of potential financial embarrassment, yeah. But gradually, because the impact is already there, so the management become aware and recognize the situation, and then it leads to the financial insolvency. A firm does not have sufficient fund to meet its financial obligation, and then later on the overall corporate insolvency, yeah. Okay. So this is the step-by-step graph, getting lower and lower, meaning getting worse and worse, yeah. Early impairment, and then deterioration of financial performance, and then cash flow problem, failure, default, insolvency, and corporate bankruptcy. Yeah. Wait, I have to do something first. Give me 1 minute. Okay. Can you still hear me, everyone? Sorry for the disruption because I received message from my computer that your internet connection is unstable. But now, can you hear me, everyone? Can you see my?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, sorry for the bad connection before. Yeah. Okay, let's continue. Yeah, where were we? So this is the graph for the gradual deterioration of the company. At the end, it's bankruptcy. Yeah. So what's the possible outcome of financial distress? If even before the financial distress, actually the company is already obsolete, the business company already obsolete, this is actually part of the permanent problem. The financial distress only trigger the end of the company. Yeah. The end will be the private liquidation. So the company will liquidate or the formal filing for the legal bankruptcy. But if the problem actually only temporary because of COVID or something like that, but the business is still good, there will be possibility of the turnaround opportunity. Yeah, either it is operational restructuring, asset restructuring, or financial restructuring, which can be a private workout, winning a negotiation one-on-one with the creditors, or the collective financial filing the legal bankruptcy ya. Kalau di Indonesia pakai PKPU ya, penundaan kewajiban pembayaran utang PKPU in Indonesia ya. Okay, that's the possible outcome of financial distress. I will give you some case study about financial distress in one of the company that I became a independent commissioner some times ago. The company faced the impact of the 2018 and 2008 and 2009 financial crisis. After several years try to restructure, failed, and then came the new management. Yeah, basically what the new management perform is stop the bleeding. Yeah, that's the first stage. Whatever the illness, if you are running out of blood, then you will die. So the rescue is to stop the bleeding. Negotiation with all the liabilities holdersnya, gitu, the creditors, and that is for the cash flow. And then restructure turnaround for the profit and P&L. Yeah, so getting a new project, etc. After this one is the PKPU ya, penundaan kewajiban pembayaran utang, so that it will reduce the cash flow obligation. Yeah, so the cash flow will be stabilized, and then after that, again manage the company business to improve the profit and loss. So operational restructuring inside, and then organizational restructuring, and then improving the company revenue. Yeah, that is the second year. And the third year, managing the balance sheet, yeah, because of the accumulated retained earning at the time was negative significantly. So, but the business is already relatively stable. The business cannot pay the dividend. In order to be able to pay dividend, so we have to do the quasi reorganization so that the negative retained earning can be compensated by other things, then become positive. So later on, we can continue the company as a normal company. That is the stabilization period. And after that, can pay dividend, and then the revenue growth, and the revenue grew, and also the profit grew significantly, so that the company finally survive, can maintain the growth about 20% per year growth at the time. That's very good after recover from the crisis. Yeah. All right, those are the example of the company that survived from the financial distress. Yeah, that's my experience as the independent commissioner, and at the time helping the restructuring of the company. Yeah. And then the company finally, the auditor, the external auditor, from the disclaimer, and then wajar dengan pengecualian, and then finally unqualified atau wajar tanpa pengecualian, ya. And then the shares can be traded after suspension for some years. Finally, the suspension was open, and the share can be traded freely after this period. Yeah, that's the part of the example of the case study of recovery from the crisis. Yeah, so if you want to predict the potential bankruptcy, well, from the academic research, classic research is by Beaver. Beaver tried to analyze company that face distress, failing company and surviving company, and compare their ratio, several ratio. And then this one is the cluster for the failing company. This part is the cluster for the surviving company. You can see there are two different situations for the failing company and surviving company. Yeah, there are several ratio, the standard ratio that Beaver use. And later on, the classic Altman, yeah, Altman Z-score, the Z-score. Yeah, well, the Z-score is based on some ratios originally. Yeah, based on this: profitability, activity, liquidity, solvency, and leverage, and then creating a Z-score by combining the score of each of the ratio. The surviving ratio becomes this one: X1, X2, X3, X4. These are the ratio. Yeah, that is the original paper by Altman, and later on he updated in 1983, updated again in 1993, and later on also in 2018 ada yang sudah updated lagi, ya. And then also try to improve the model using the logit model, yeah, not only using the Z-score, the regular set, but logit model. And this is the logit model by Olson, based on this one. There's a macro variable involved here. While for the Altman, there is no micro variable. All the there's no macro variable, but all micro variable. Yeah, the improvement of also, for example, using the GNP, gross national product. Yeah, that's the macro variable. Yeah, and then later on there are several other academic research. For example, Szymanski, Theodosiou, and other models. These are all the models related to the bankruptcy and financial distress. Yeah. So the future bankruptcy is predicted using the relationship between the asset value volatility, the debt ratio, etc., including also the financial ratio. Yeah. These are the more recent research, including in Indonesia. This is the 2019 research by Kisman Krisnandi using the 4 variable: leverage, activity, liquidity, and profitability, and then able to explain about 3/4 of the variation of the financial distress and non-distress. Yeah? And then this one is the research based on some industry, di beberapa sektor industry, and then these are the variables that were used to try to explain. Each industry, of course, the significant variable is different. Yeah, for example, household textile, this variable is important, and then for other industry, there are different other variables that are significant based on the statistical test. Yeah, this by Smith and Liu in 2007 using the UK data. Yeah, and then if you are interested to find research about this, these are some reference or literature of the research related to Z-scores model. Yeah, okay, and then for Indonesia, for example, based on the GDP, the Q2 GDP, because Q3 not yet announced, and this is based on Q2 GDP, which sector affected most? Nah, ini ada yang affected most-nya nih, ini transportasi dan pergudangan ya. No one travel anymore soalnya ya, and then akomodasi makanan dan minuman, no one go to the restaurant ya, sama accommodation, no one stays in the hotel, not no one, very few gitu ya. This is the worst sector nih ya. Jadi transportasi pergudangan, akomodasi makanan dan minuman, other services, and then dan seterusnya. Well, actually, some sectors still good. Yeah, of course, Infocom, because everyone start to shift to the Infocom during the crisis, the digital era. Okay, and then during the, I also try to analyze the industry sector index in the Bursa Efek Indonesia. There's sectoral index. We have IHSG for the overall. We have the sectoral index. I trace the sectoral index based on starting the starting point is the March and April 2019, and what happened during 1 year after that. This is the consumer good already start to decrease even before the crisis, before the COVID nih. And then the severe situation is in end of March and early April di sini ya. That's the big impact-nya ya. The same thing as mining already decreased even before the COVID ya. And the severe situation also in end of March and early April. Same thing as manufacture, for example. Here's the manufacture. Yeah. Also in agriculture, even though a little bit positive somewhere in January, and finally drop again. Yeah. Okay, and then same thing in miscellaneous industry and finance. Finance is a little bit positive earlier in the turn of the year actually, but drop after they recognize that the impact of COVID actually much more severe compared to the original prediction gitu ya. Okay. Basic industry actually performed very good during the 2019 second half, but also dropped and then start to recover. And then property a little bit recover in the 2019, but finally drop again, even further after the original shock. And this one is for infrastructure. So in the mid of 2019, still good, and then again drop. And then trade, drop and flat in 2019, finally drop. And then I tried to summarize the performance based on some period. Yeah. So the best, the sector that are affected most by COVID crisis based on the table is miscellaneous industry and property. Gini, ya. And the sector that affected least, still affected but not that severe is basic industry, and then later on trade, consumer, etc. Those are the, and then based on, this is by prediction by someone, by the rating agency, about the probability of default per sector. Again, entertainment and transportation, ini yang jelek ya, and also oil and gas, because the price of oil and gas drop bisa sampai minus waktu itu ya. And this one is the impact quarter by quarter, the predicted impact quarter by quarter. Entertainment nggak ada lagi yang nonton bioskop dan lain-lainnya, live entertainmentnya nggak ada. Transportation also, oil and gas, kan real estate, etc. ya. Oke, financial industry actually yang paling kecil. Although later on maybe dampaknya for the bad debt dan lain-lain will be affected end of this year and early next year. Yeah. And then expected default, nah ini dari oil and gas, food and beverage, transportation, those are the three major sectors-nya gitu ya. And then how do you do risk management? In Mandarin katanya ada crisis W and G katanya, dangers and opportunity. So we need to recognize the obstacles but focus on creating and capturing opportunity. The response to financial distress can be asset expansion, operational contraction policy, financial policy, external control, for example, merger and acquisition, change in managerial control, and then finally liquidation or winding up the company. Yeah. Well, basically the step is you have to stop the bleeding and then temporary pivoting, try everything to get business from the current situation, and then later financial restructuring, and then check whether your strategy is still relevant or already obsolete. Yeah, strategic realigning, redefining core business, new ways of doing business, and practicing the defensive financial management. And I have article about the menata ulang strategi, something like this. Yeah, so disaster can happen anytime, but tragedy can be avoided or mitigated. Now, setelah bencana katanya 40% after big bencana ya, 40% akan hilang ya, tak beroperasi lagi. Tapi di antara bisnis yang masih buka, masih ada lagi yang hilang 25% dalam within 1 year ya. So you need to practice the business continuity plan with this kind of benefit, protect the safety of employee, maintain customer service, etc. These are the good benefit of business continuity plan. Of course, you need need the management oversight. That is the top level management as well as the middle and the lower management level. Yeah. Okay. Then practice the effective risk management that require the risk governance framework, risk management process, as well as risk management infrastructure. Yeah. And then, can you see this picture, everyone? Hello. What do you see? Most of you will see only fish, right? But my question is, can you see other animal from this picture? Can anyone see other animals? I give you 15 seconds. Any other animal in this picture?
No.
Most of you cannot see the other animal, yeah? Well,
it's a bird. It's a bird.
Yeah, correct. It's a flying swan, a flying duck, or a flying bird, yeah? Only a few of you can see that, yeah? Okay. Okay, let me help you. Now you can see the flying bird. Yeah, it's actually there already here, right? But most of you cannot see it because you see it as a business as usual. Yeah, so we have to train our eyes to see from different angles so that we can see the opportunities that are actually there. Yeah, then in the transformation around this article, yeah. Creating quoting the story of Batman and Superman. Batman is facing very high challenge to face of Superman. Logically, Superman is the real superhero from the birth of the Superman, ya. But Batman is just human. But he finally can beat Superman, bisa kalahkan Superman because of he prepare well, ya. Using all the resources and using the ecosystem, using the knowledge about the medan tempurnya, so that using kelemahannya Superman so that he can beat Superman. So if we can practice what the Batman practice, even though we have the very high challenge of the situation, we may survive of the situation. Yeah. Okay, and using the wisdom, yeah, starting with Watak, that is the SWOT analysis. Yeah, you have to map the situation, and then you have to guide the goal, the smartest, specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, time-bound, encouraging, and rewarding. And then you create new strategy to achieve the impian, starting from Watak, and then you do the capacity building for the company employee as well the organization, and then you implement using the otak dan otot, working smart and working hard, and then keep on measuring and then monitoring and then keep realigning and then continuous improvement. Yeah. Okay, this W starting from the bottom, the I is the goal, and then from the bottom to goal, you find ways to reach that. And then in order to climb that mountain, you have to do the capacity building, yeah, to strengthen the human capital and organization, and then implement it, work smarter and harder, and don't forget to do the matter, monitor, and management. Yeah. Capacity building, what we have to build. The brainware, the human capital, software, the organization, the hardware, the infrastructure, and then marketware, your product, your service, whether your business is relevant, how to adjust during the new normal. Yeah, as a leader, you have to coordinate this and create a new culture, new creating culture that is agile. Yeah, agile culture, and then the digital culture, so that you can achieve the goal based on the new strategy. Okay? And then takeaways. So we have negative VUCA, that is volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambigu. And then we have to create positive VUCA, versatile, update, creative, and agile. You are not alone. Yeah, let's support each other, because plenty of industry, as we already mentioned in the impact. Yeah? And then some sectors are affected much more significantly than others, but all sector, mostly all sector got affected, except for the Infocom and digital. Yeah. Stop the bleeding, financial restructuring, temporary pivoting, strategic realigning, etc. That's the way to this. And then work hard, work smart, teamwork, collaboration, opportunities can be from internal, external, then innovate, and using the wisdom, capacity building, and strategy under uncertainty. Well, if you can survive, there is these too shall pass. We experienced the crisis of crisis in 1998. 5 years after that, we recover. Now we should be able to recover if we practice all of this, the takeaways. Yeah? Okay, that's it from me. Thank you very much. Give back the floor to the moderator. Thank you. Terima kasih.
Thank you very much, Professor Roy.